Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is our Wisdom of the Sages, our daily morning podcast. Your daily morning podcast. My name is Raghunath. I'm your host. And I'm here with Senior Director of the Bhakti Center, Kaustubha.
Senior educator, actually.
Senior educator.
Yeah.
Okay, senior educator. Well, it sounds, both of them sound better than me saying my bestie.
Okay. It gives a little plug to the Bhakti Center. So
your real title. Hey, the Bhakti Center is our heart. It's our very heart. We are in a great place. Welcome to our show. This is our morning yoga podcast where we study sacred literature. Probably the most important sacred literature of all of the Bhakti-yogis is called the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are making our way up this beautiful mountain. 18,000 verses. 18,000 verses. There's 12 cantos or 12 big books. And it all starts with this very relevant question. So how can these ancient books be so relevant, you might ask? Incredibly relevant. A king is about to be cursed to die in 7 days. And he has to leave his kingdom, give up his family, his kingdom, his citizens, his responsibilities, his dharma of this world, and find a teacher to explain to him what is the duty of a man about to die. This is relevant, not because we're necessarily cursed, but in one sense, yeah, we are cursed. We are cursed to have a body for a short amount of time. And in that body, we have some duties of this world. I'm a parent, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a teacher, and we have our duties of this world, but then we have like this nitya dharma. There's dharmas of this world, and then there's the dharmas of the soul. What is the dharma of the soul? I have 7 days to live. What should I do? And this is also relevant because we don't know when we're going to die. And so we should start really, it's okay that sometimes we don't even know what we're doing in this world. That's a super common thing. What am I doing in this world? Like, am I supposed to be doing this job? That's like a first question, perhaps. Like, what am I doing? But some of us feel like, I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing. The next question is like, what is my offering? Like, what is my actual gift to this world? I'm born here not just to, spin wheels and work for making some idiot rich. What am I actually here for? And so when we get into Bhakti Yoga, these questions start to surface. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my offering? Is this offering connected to spirit, or is it just my own personal ambition to make it in this world and to be successful and collect a bunch of stuff? Because in Bhakti Yoga, we say about that, big deal. Good, congratulations, you collected a big heap of trash, right? Congratulations. We say life is short. What are you here to contribute to this world? That's where we find our substance. That's where we find our depth. That's where we find our juice in life. It's the big why. Why am I here? What do I want to contribute? These are the things that sort of like get us up in the morning. And we're saying that our work in this world should be connected to spirit. The Bhagavatam says our work in this world must connect us to attraction to a loving heart, or else it's shrama eva hi kevalam. Your work, your so-called dharma, is a useless waste of time. And this is what we're exploring. And we explore it every day. It's ancient, but we try to keep it in a very contemporary understanding. Yesterday, we dove into Jesus, Bhakta Jesus. We even said Jai Jesus. That was my hashtag yesterday to everybody I wrote, Jai Jesus.
Jai Jesus.
Jai Jesus. Matthew, Mark, and Luke Ki Jai. Hi, Kaustubha. How are you?
Doing good.
Okay.
You ready to go?
Yeah, you ready to go into this? Let's dive into the Bhagavatam. And there's a tradition.
Did we want to make our little announcement now, or?
Yes. Here's an announcement. Get ready. Hold on to your chair. With this podcast, we're going through all these interesting phases, and we're trying. And because it's getting popular, we are getting offered. This happens. You get offered people who want to sell merchandise or sell things, and they're your ads. It's how podcasts make a living. And the goal for most podcasts is, how can we get a lot of number of people so we can start selling advertising space? It makes sense. That being said, it's like, I don't want to sell yoga mats on my Srimad Bhagavatam class. I don't want to sell yoga mats for my yoga mats. Those thin yoga. I don't want to sell yoga gloves. You know what I mean? I got these new yoga gloves. They're awesome. And I don't want to sell blocks or straps or whatever. There's some good stuff to sell. I get it. There's good stuff to sell. I don't want to do it. And so Kaustubha had this idea, hey, let's start a Patreon account where if people appreciate what we're doing, they just donate some money. They donate whatever they want. And they have a whole platform to, what is it? It's sort of like you go on and you have a whole community board. And therefore, if you like it, you throw something down. You make a monthly pledge, and it becomes your tithing.
But even like bigger than that, I think, is that we get a lot of requests to go deeper into this stuff, to provide more content and to deepen the studies and deepen the practices. And we see now that this is like the need, that this is how we're connecting online, and that people live busy lives, so they can't go to a center or a temple every day of their life, but they can, instead of tuning into Netflix today, they can tune into some other kind of content.
Are you Netflix shaming me?
I'm not. It's because you watched Bird Box.
Did anyone pick up on that? I just was shamed.
It was because of Bird Box. I felt I had to. Not just Netflix, whatever. There's so many ways that we engage our time. Usually people say like, I wish I had more time to go to the Bhakti Center stuff. Actually, we have the time, but it's just stuck in these little areas, like after we eat our dinner and before we wake up the next morning, and we can't run off to, spend 45 minutes getting to some center, but we can do this stuff online. The more content that we can provide, the more that we can get into this. And so we get a lot of requests for, providing more and more content.
And so it's got content ideas.
Content ideas, yeah.
But there's this thing where you put in this much, you get this, a gold membership, I hate all this platinum membership stuff. So we figured, you know what? Let's just have a membership. They can donate. There is no platinum level. You get it all anyway.
Yeah. If you give $1 a month, you're in.
You give $1 a month, you're in.
If you give $50 a month, thank you. But
there is no reclining chair. There's not a first class cabin. Yeah. It's just, you just give from your heart. You can give anonymously or whatever it is, or you can give, but you'll still get a bunch of content that we'll put up. And the podcast, of course, you're just going to get for free from your podcast. That's not the way to get your podcast, but to be part of that, to support what we're doing, you give from $1 a month to $1,000 a month.
Whatever you want to do.
And the idea is, as Mohan from Radhakund says, some people have big heart, little money. Some people have little money. Some people have big heart, little money. Some people have lots of money, small heart. Whatever you want, you give.
Problem is with him, he already knows. But like, these are some of the ideas of content that we're considering, like posting up there. Regular talks and classes on these sacred texts. Interviews with interesting, bhakti yoga related people, workshops for music, for cooking, for learning verses and things like that. Questions and answers.
Your one-stop shopping for bhakti, Vedic bhakti.
Yeah. And then also, like, Raghunath and I are commonly like speaking in different places. I speak in universities or yoga teacher training. He's always doing different talks. So we could record those and post those as well. And we're also just interested in hearing from all of you what the needs are. So there's the platform that we're using is called Patreon, and it integrates with other kind of things like polling. Like, there's a polling system that we can do there, where we could say to you guys, hey, what would you like next month? Would you like to, learn about how to do puja? Would you like to learn basics and cook, and we can try to make it responsive and kind of alive, that what the needs of the people are, we can try to, respond to that. Right? Something like that.
I like it. Okay. So let's, what do you call it? Let's tell us how we'll
we'll put out a letter. Well, that's another important thing is, as this thing has grown, like within this past month, we've grown to about 900 people tuning in every day now. And every day it's like increasing more. And we have this really cool Telegram thread, but as more people
go to the bathroom, you missed 40 messages.
I know. So like sometimes people are asking you or I questions, and I don't even know where they are, but what we want to do is, there's some platform on there, I think it's called Discord, or there's something like that. I forget what it's called, but where we can have different threads. It's like all different subjects of different threads. So
it's sort of like a message board. It's
like a big message board. Yeah.
The messages can continue, but they'll be filed nicely. It'll be I'm excited actually, because a lot of us, I actually want to read the Telegram board, but sometimes I just sort of miss out, or sometimes there are things that like, this has nothing to do with me. And so I'm not going to read it, but I have to scroll through thousands of these things. Right. Sometimes people post videos that are sort of useful. Katie Bell is now posting the notes of the class. She's taken them on.
So we can have a thread just for that.
We should have a thread just for the notes.
Yeah.
Because it helps me prepare for classes sometimes.
It helps me write the descriptions too. It's great. So that's what we want to do. This morning on the Telegram thread, we'll release a letter just kind of announcing this. We're not sure exactly when we're going to launch it. We want to get up on there and then start to fool around with it a bit to see how it works. And then in a week or two, we're going to say, hey, it's up there, people. If you want to subscribe. And then we'll just dive in.
I'm going to do that Joe Rogan podcast next week. It could, or it could not. Depends if I sound stupid. If I sound stupid, it could crush our whole show.
You all may stop listening.
That was so stupid. But it could be an incredible opportunity for the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's so interesting how like the universe, Krishna, sweet baby Krishna, uses this whole thing, this almost like a trampoline out to the whole universe. And Joe wrote me and said, I said, well, do you want to debate me or something? He said, no. I just want to hear your yoga journey. So I thought,
oh, you silly goose, I think.
He said, oh, you silly goose. I just want to hear your yoga journey. And I was like, okay, that could be a good launching pad to get into the Bhagavatam and get into the connection between the bridge between yoga, asana class, and spiritual things. All right.
And then I think the next subject is that we had promised to hear a certain story today, Raghu. We were promised. And I believe that story is named Naked Man in the Box.
Anyway, it's a good story, but all right. Should I share it now?
As you like, but I think we owe it to the people.
Okay. We were talking about the soul is conditioned, how the soul becomes conditioned yesterday.
I think you said, who is the me before the programming, right?
Oh, yeah. It's an important point because we all want to find ourself, the search for self. And so anyway, I had this very interesting experience when I was on tour with my band when I was a teenager. My band was called Youth of Today. And back then we were traveling around in a van and we never had a place to stay. We just stay at some kid's house or some kids who lives with their parents. And we were in Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C., extremely liberal part of America. And so our band stayed there and it was a group of like maybe 10 people who rented a big house. And so the guy who putting on the show for us said, okay, you can stay here. So it's always a little awkward going into somebody's house that you don't know. And, you have some small talk in the kitchen. And then I said, hey, can I use the bathroom? And they said, yeah, go upstairs, a room on the right, there's a bathroom. So I go upstairs and I go a little shocked as I go into this room. It's a bunch of kids live in a house. Usually it's a little messy, I get a little shocked because first of all, there's nothing in this room at all. No furniture, no like window shades, no nothing. But sitting in the middle of the floor is a grown man with a beard, completely naked, building a wooden box. And I sort of like walk. Yes, you've heard it correctly. It's just building a box out of wood, like with tools, naked. And I thought when I opened the door, I was like, oh my God, did I walk in? I said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking for the bathroom. And he doesn't even look up at me. He just goes right over there, like points to the bathroom door. I was like, So I go in the bathroom. I'm thinking to myself, okay, Raghunath, be open-minded. What's the big deal? People are, he's building a box, big deal. Why is this so weird? Be a little broad-minded. You are trapped in your small-minded thinking that everybody has to be the same and dress the same and look the same. There's a man building a box in the middle of the room. It's no big deal. So after the bathroom, I get out, and this guy's now he's like, have you ever seen a guy like struggling with a screwdriver? Like he was like that, except naked, which makes the whole thing even weirder. And I was, my opening gambit was the obvious. Hey man, what are you building? And he's like, it's this damn box. Can't get this screw in without splitting the wood. And I was like, why are you naked? And then he stopped. He put down a screwdriver and looked at me and said, what am I supposed to be wearing? Caught me off guard with that one.
Anything.
And yeah, that's what I said. I said, I don't know, a pair of jeans. I don't know, a pair of jeans. I didn't know. I really wasn't expecting that answer. So he said, why should I be wearing jeans? Because someone sold you the concept that boys wear jeans, that's why I should wear jeans? Because someone told you how I should, what frocks I should put on my body? Because someone programmed you that a body has to be covered in a certain type of fashion? No, not me. You are just somebody's puppet. You are a puppet of consumer culture. You are a puppet of the man. I was like, and I just sort of like walked into that. And so here's my point. Because he brought up this other point. He goes, why don't I dress like with long socks and knickers? And like he said something like a colonial hat, like a Minuteman,
that's where you got that
17. That's where I got it from the other day. Okay. From a colonial America. Why don't I dress like that? He goes, don't you understand? You are just being programmed every moment to be somebody. And who's doing the programming? And so he brought up a good point, the naked man in a box. The point is, what is the original program? Later on, while we were all downstairs, I was thinking about this. We were all having a cup of coffee. He came downstairs wearing a dress. And all the other guys in the band were like, what the hell? We're all 18 years old. A guy in a beard and a dress walking into the kitchen. But it didn't bother me much. I was like, hey, okay, man, have a good day. I was like already privy to it. But
you're already enlightened.
Like, what is the original programming of the soul? Is it a dress? Well, why wear the dress then? Why not wear bear skin or something like that? So the idea is, and even with psychiatry, we were talking about this the other day, what is the original programming? Okay, I understand. I'm incredibly, I can't trust people. I can't, I suffer from extreme anxiety. I can't open my heart. My heart is shut down. Whatever I might have some psychological problem that's keeping me from having healthy relationships, healthy dynamics in the workplace. But where is the psychiatrist taking me back to? What is normal? And we look at other people. Well, am I supposed to fit in? It's like, I don't want to be normal. Am I supposed to fit in? All these people are slaughtering animals. They think that's normal. All these people, maybe I should just hang out with gardeners who are planting all the time. Maybe that's normal. What is the normal? And so this is a big question, I think, in our spiritual path. And that's why Naked Man in a Box is such a relevant story. What is the normal? And the problem is parents tell us what normal is, isn't it? Like, I think you should go to business school. People making money in this world go to business school. You should get, and we get pushed into a career path due to what is a healthy normal. I know so many people who become lawyers, don't want to even become a lawyer, just they got pushed into medicine and law just because they think, well, making financial abundance, that's normal. What is the norm? And then people say, I don't want to be bitten. I don't want to be caught up in the workplace. I want to get back to something natural. I want to move out of this country, become an expat. I want to just surf. And then they get into whatever, surfing culture or whatever it is. We're trying to find out what is the original me. And we've looked at ourselves in the mirror of normal, of what high school was like and what a jock was like or what a surfer was like or what a businessman is like. And that's been a mirror trying to find myself. Is that me? Should I work towards that? And the yogis have a different mirror. And that mirror is explained in the Gita, in the Bhagavad, in the Yoga Sutras, in the Vedanta Sutra. The mirror is you are a pure, eternal soul. You're eternal. You're actually fearless. You're a boyam. You have no fear. You are actually filled with internal wisdom. You are blissful, right? It's called Sat Chit Ananda. Eternal, filled with knowledge, filled with great joy. Try this on as the mirror of what you should be and see if it works for you. Like I tried on the businessman. It didn't work for me. I don't like business. I like gardening. I tried on gardening and I liked it, but I found like all my other gardener buddies were whatever it is. See, it starts to hone you into what you actually are underneath even our ministerial responsibilities. And so we say, try this on and see if it fits. You're eternal. You're filled with joy. You have inherent knowledge, and you're born to give love. See how that tastes. See if that suit of clothes fits you well. If you say, well, I'm not blissful, the yogis say, then you're doing something wrong. It's okay that you're not blissful. You should understand, but that is the normal. Bliss is the normal. What do you think of this, Kaustubha?
It's a fascinating. It's interesting. Somehow, the fact that you said they put on a dress just took my mind in a particular place, and it's in a yogic place.
I want to go there.
Well, because in other words, I think this. I hear this story, and I think, okay, this is an interesting character, this naked man with the box.
What a character, right? You can't make these stories up.
Yeah, and but what I think he's
struggling, nude.
But I almost see that as like he's got an intuition, but he's got no guidance, right?
There we go.
And so, but he's fooling around with something that like the yogis fool around with. Like the idea is, how do I shed myself a false identity, right? So like my thought was, he put on a dress. Like when he finally put on clothes, he put on a dress. Now, maybe that had something to do with the sense of sexual identity. But my guess is that he was just saying, okay, well, if I'm going to put on clothes, I'm not going to fit in and do exactly what society says. I'm going to put on a dress instead.
I don't think he felt feminine. I think he just wanted to make a statement like, I'm not going to fit in like you.
Or even, I mean, whether it's him trying to make a statement or him trying to even break his own sense of false identity, right? Like the more that I will not engage in the path that society is laying out for my own clarity, rather than even an external statement. Now, my guess is probably mixed with an external statement, but the way that, there are these types of yogis called the Aghoris.
The Aghoris, yeah. They're interesting. They're an interesting crew, the Aghoris. Yeah.
And the idea that with them, they do all this wild stuff, and I don't recommend any, but they're into like, I'll live naked in the crematorium, or and I will eat out of a skull, and
they slit their tongue.
They do all kind of wild stuff. But the idea is like to break any sense of identity. What is in this world? Is anything good or bad? Is anything clean or unclean? Let me eat out of the skull and let me cover my body and all kind of disgust. They do wild stuff,
right? With
the idea of breaking the false identity. Now,
there's something cool about that as well.
There's something admirable about it. but at the same time, I think I don't see a lot of good examples of people that can work through that and come to a good place and so on.
I'm with you.
But what in Bhakti Yoga, the idea is that, hey, you can wear clothes. That's not a problem. That's fine.
Right. You can wear clothes. Right.
You open up by talking about the Nitya Dharma. There's the eternal Dharma that we have, which is the Satchidananda that you're talking about. And then there are the temporary Dharmas, temporary roles that we accept, but we know they're temporary roles. I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a business person, or I'm a this, or I'm a that.
Right.
We go into it with the clarity of knowing that this is not who I am. This is not my eternal identity. But by beginning to serve, the service is my eternal identity. The happiness in that divine service is and let me begin to serve in this role. Let me spend a certain amount of time of day stepping out of that role in my meditation, right? In my meditation, let me box off a certain amount of time where I'm going to even let go of that role. Then let me step back into my role in this world in a practical way, always working towards that eternal Dharma, that eternal identity, which will be revealed by the grace of the holy name, ultimately by the grace of God. Right.
I like.
All right.
I like.
Naked Man in the Box. Let's pray for him. Prayer for Naked Man in the Box that he may be.
The Joe's like, imagine if he's tuning in. He's tuning in right now. Like, damn, that was me.
Naked Man in the Box, we love you.
Imagine if someone like Jeff Eisenberg is like, that was me. I was Naked Man in the Box. I can't believe that was you. That wasn't you, Jeff, was it? Okay. Okay, let's get in this Bhagavad.
I always am amazed by how Jeff's backdrop just reminds me of Julie's backdrop there. It's like these.
Is Jeff and Julie, what's going on here? Okay. This is all right, so let's get into our invocation shlokas.
Yeah.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chavanarotamam devyam saraswati vyasam tadojayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of our conquest, one should offer obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshvabhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naistaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become completely eradicated, and loving service to the Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established in the heart as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurun Milatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dwight Stevenson writes on the chat board, I teach middle school. Adolescents try on personalities like they do clothes, trying on different identities and attempting to discover who they are. I think that's part of like the growth process.
Yeah.
But if we have the Bhagavatam as sort of like a guiding light, a compass, a lighthouse, a rope to tether us to some actual, and that's what the importance of parenting is, to instill that in a child. I think that's a parenting win. It's to say, you're not a body. Don't let men or women, rate you according to your body. Here's your real label. You're a spiritual being. Okay. Don't let, yeah. I'm going to stop there, but yes. Right. Okay. So we are in text, Canto 1, chapter 5, verse 29. That's where we sort of left off. Why don't I jump in there, Kaustubha? I was very much attached to those sages. I was gentle in behavior, and all my bad karma was eradicated in their service, right? That's how you get rid of bad karma. You act in a positive way. It's beyond positive. It's transcendental, serving great souls, right?
Yeah.
In the heart, I had strong faith in them. I had subjugated the senses, and I was strictly following them with my body and my mind.
Yeah. We're getting a great description of what the practice of bhakti yoga looks like here.
Yeah, it's not just I hear it. I
Yeah.
actually hear it, and I actually use my body to follow it.
Yeah,
Right?
and it's not just like a kumbaya, sit around the campfire kind of thing. I mean, there's that beautiful part, kind of communal part to it. But in other words, it's a science. It has a lot to do with one's attitude. This is bhakti yoga, that we can connect with very powerful spiritual sources that transform us, very powerful sources of spiritual energy. But we need to make ourselves receptive to that energy. So this is how Narada was receptive. He was a young boy, but he developed, rather than become, and note that it's not saying that you have to become detached from everything. It's a question of what you become attached to. So the earlier verses told us he wasn't attached to sporting around and doing things that normal kids are into. He playing cricket in India. That's what they're doing, right? He became attached to these sages. He began to think, I want to spend time with them. I want to hear from them. I want to serve them. I want to please them. I want to be blessed by them. He was attached, but he was attached to the right people. So he was attached to the sages. He was gentle in his behavior, right? He was sensitive. He didn't just act like, it's humility that we become gentle. Like, let me deal with you respectfully. Let me hear what you have to say. Let me, be sensitive and thoughtful.
It's such not a admirable quality to be called gentle for a male in America right now. He's so gentle. It's like, I'm sorry.
But we even somehow we still do have the concept of a gentleman, right? Like what a gentleman should be.
Right. But
that gets warped.
Even that is sort of like, what's that supposed to mean? And when you hear the word gentleman in America, it's like a gentleman's club, which is like a porn, a strip joint.
Like a strip club or something.
Yeah, it's a gentleman's club.
Yeah. And then he says, in my heart, I had strong faith in them. And this is essential, right? This is where the path of bhakti begins with faith. I had subjugated the senses, right? That's the real work in yoga, is my senses are saying you're going to find happiness in this.
Sure.
And I'm pulling it back and saying, no, I'm going to get my senses under control, self-discipline. And I was strictly following them with body and mind. This is a yogic practice, right? The first step is the body, that, okay, you give me an instruction, I'll carry it out with my body. But even deeper, the mind has to be going that way.
We're not just going to church on Sunday and checking in,
right,
and then going back and live our regular materialistic life. It's like we're checking in with ourselves every day. We're checking in with our senses every day. By the way, I want to just add this: if you struggle with controlling your senses, controlling your diet, controlling your sexuality, controlling your intake of intoxicants, that's understandable. We live in a world that never had parameters. Sometimes it even glorifies breaking all rules. Excuse me. And culture is sort of like, and if a person's a sex addict, the whole world is like, yeah, cool, man, you're doing great. No, you're not doing great. And if you're, in a social drinking, you go to a wedding, everyone has alcohol, or meat eating is hard for people, believe it or not, to give up meat eating. I have a lot of students that struggle with it because they just grew up in these families and they develop these habits. If you struggle with those things, completely understandable. We recommend you regulate those things. If you suppose you can't stop eating hamburger, you regulate it. Eat it 3 days a week. Eat it 2 days a week. You don't want to because what happens is people say, forget it, just forget the whole thing. But whenever things have a strong addictive grip on you, you regulate your senses. 3 days a week, you'll drink your beer, okay? And then after on the day you're allowed to drink it, you'll be like, I don't even need it today. And so you keep these sort of like blackout days where you can't do it. And that sort of loosens up the noose that's been choking you. A lot of these things that we're addicted to, we've wanted to get rid of for a long time. We've claimed they've controlled us, but we have not a practical plan to let go of them. And so this is this Zoom group that we're on, or this podcast, we're a support network as well. And you should reach out to people. We should have a support network when we go to Patreon. People it's okay to struggle with things, and you need people that you can call on a regular. What I have with my students is I say, look, you struggle with this, You have 5 people you text, suppose you want to drink and you're trying to get over drinking. You reach out to 5 people. I'm thinking of having a drink. And then these 5 people have to write you back immediately. They don't even tell you, they don't even preach to you, don't drink. They just are there for you. And they might like poke a question out of you, like, what are you feeling that makes you want to have a drink? It's good to have people, like I have Kaustubha in my life. I trust his integrity. I trust the way he walks and talks in this world. And if I struggle with something, Kaustubha, I'm struggling, help me out here. And he'll always like be there for me. So we need people like, we need what's it called? Favorites on our iPhone. It used to be called a speed dial, that we can just reach out and text people. Hey, I'm struggling. Can you help me out? And this is a great community for meeting people like this. Why? Because community is not just to get around, to do stuff together. Community is to assist us in a spiritual way to upgrade our life. What do you think, Kaustubha?
Thank you for sharing all that. It's such important points. This is how Bhakti's practice is it's in a community and it's with support. And we're in such a crazy world that we need that kind of support. And the other point that I was thinking about is that in Bhakti Yoga, we're talking about here how it's not about detachment from everything. It's about choosing what you become attached to. And when you become attached to one thing, you become detached from the other. So Narada became attached to these sages. But there's a real important verse in the Bhagavad Gita, that one, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasa param dristva nivartate.
Param dristva nivartante.
That param dristva, by getting a higher taste, nivartate, one can give up the lower things. So it's saying that we may be endeavoring as a yogi to control our senses, but still within our mind and within the senses, the taste for sense enjoyment of material things, it doesn't just disappear immediately. It's still there. But in bhakti, rather than just denying the senses, what we do is we engage them in something higher. We find something that is pleasing to the senses, but that connects me spiritually, whether it be through the music, whether it be through the hearing and the philosophy, through the friendships. In so many different ways, we can engage our senses in a positive way and naturally make it easy to give up the lower things. Naturally, you just let go.
A simple example of that is you like chicken wings and you trade that in for a pakora. Pakora made with love and devotion. So that is true. And there is a way to really engage your senses truthfully by showing up like a lot of everybody here on Zoom or the podcast regulars, the others do, is they show up on a regular basis and hear truth. They've like switched out their diet. They switched out sometimes their friends. And it's changed them. My point is, even going through the process, even changing out, switching up things, these addictions are super duper strong and they really hold us down. And one of the sad things I've seen, and we don't want to keep making the same dumb mistakes. Let me just share with you guys where things have gone wrong in ashrams in the past. In ashrams, there's a public persona you're supposed to put on. And Kaustubha can vouch for this. You live in an ashram and there's a public way to behave, a public way to speak, a public way to dress, a public way to do your ritual. But unless you're sharing your heart with people that you trust, where you're not going to feel exposed or exploited or ostracized, you have some good people in your life that you can say, you know what? I'm doing everything, but I'm still struggling. Unless you have those people in your life, you will create a double personality. And Kaustubha can vouch for this. We've seen people, they live all of a sudden they get found out. This guy was a leader and he was doing this, and this guy was an important figure and he was doing this. If you don't, and the problem is, a lot of these people, those scandalous people, they're not bad people, but we haven't created a platform where they can actually share and be vulnerable and share their shortcomings. And yeah, I've been around, 10 years, but I'm still struggling with this simple thing. It's totally understandable, but you need people to share that with. If you don't share it, you bury it. When we keep secrets, it's the beginning of big problems. It's like the genesis of disease.
These are real helpful points.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
I don't want to recreate the broken wheel. I don't want to recreate. There was a broken system. I found that a lot in ashrams, that people didn't share, and they had a public persona, and they had a private reality.
And that public persona is just like the kind of false identities that we were discussing earlier in the show today.
Secrets keep us sick. Nancy Rothman writes. That's a good one. Secrets keep us sick. Okay. Just had to share that.
Thank you.
All right.
Next verse. As
they were leaving, those Bhakti Vedantas, this is a good word, Bhakti Vedantas. So Bhakti, we know, is devotion, and Vedanta means they understand the anta, the final conclusion of Veda, of knowledge, is Bhakti. Isn't that great? Yeah. Bhakti Vedanta, the final conclusion of all knowledge, is Bhakti. What a great word. As they were leaving, those Bhakti Vedantas, who were very kind to the poor-hearted souls, instructed me in that most confidential subject, which is instructed by the personality of God and himself. Mm. What is the most confidential thing?
It's Bhakti, but it's Bhakti on the level of like you got a personal connection, right? You've got a personal connection with the divine. That information, Krishna, it says by the personality of God himself, because we see Krishna shares that with Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. We see Krishna shares it with Uddhava. Krishna shares it with Brahma. Krishna shares it with different, Vishnu shares it with Brahma. That all of this spiritual stuff is not just about finding peace, but the confidential part is that you actually have a personal connection with this divine being. And so they before they left, now the rainy season's over and they're ready to go again, these Bhakti Vedantas, these sages, they wanted to share that. They wanted to make sure Narada understood that, even as a young boy.
Just looking at this purport. Excuse me. I make too much noise in this microphone. I'm like always making bodily noises, like like a disgusting, like farm animal. I'm like a farm animal.
Well, you live with farm animals.
A devotional service, or by the most confidential knowledge, one can understand very easily how the different energies of the Lord are working. One part of energy is manifesting the material world. The other superior part of the energy is manifesting the spiritual world.
You're reading the purport to text 31, I think.
Oh, duh.
But it's a great purport. Why don't you read the verse and read this purport?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
By that confidential knowledge, I could understand clearly the influence of the energy of Lord Sri Krishna, the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of everything. Mm-hmm. By knowing that, one can return to him and personally meet him.
Okay. I mean, great verse, right?
That's exciting.
So in other words, what he's saying is that, first of all, here, Narada, Vyasadev's guru, uses the word Vasudevasya. So he refers to Krishna as Vasudeva specifically. He's not just talking about the divine or the spiritual energy. He's saying Krishna, right? By saying Vasudevasya. And we'll see that. So when Vyasadeva goes to write the Bhagavatam, he's going to open it up with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He's going to use that same name again. But he's saying that when they explain to me this confidential knowledge about Krishna, and that everything is his energy, he's got his material energy, he's got his spiritual energy, we're the souls of the marginal energy. Now, as I move through the world, I see nothing but Krishna's energy. I'm always thinking of God because I see everything as God's energy. This is the kind of consciousness that the Bhakti-yogi is meant to rise to. Mm. And Prabhupada will explain these energies nicely in this commentary.
Should I continue with that commentary?
Please. Why don't you start it over? Because I would like to hear it from the start.
By devotional service or by the most confidential knowledge, one can understand very easily how the different energies of the Lord are working. One part of the energy is manifesting the material world. The other superior part of his energy is manifesting the spiritual world. And the via medium energy is manifesting the living entities or the living beings who are.
Does yours say via medium or intermediate?
Mine says via medium.
Interesting.
And the
mine says intermediate, which seems to make more sense to me.
Okay, I'll just go with yours.
Yeah.
And the intermediate medium energy is manifesting the living entities who are serving either of the above mentioned energies. We're either serving, this is Bob Dylan's song. You got to serve somebody. It might be the devil or it might be the Lord, but you got to serve somebody.
It's also, Prabhupada here he's basically reflecting what's there in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where he says, what's the verse 15:7? Mamai vangso jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana.
Yeah.
That the living entities are the eternal fragmental parts of Krishna, and they're struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. They're or going back to the 7th chapter, where it says they're trying to the living entities are trying to exploit the resources of the material energy.
Sure. So there's two living entities. Ones who are just sort of like lost in the material world, trying to like suck it up, and one who actually realized I'm not. This isn't even edible food. Yeah. The material world is not even edible food for my soul. We were talking about food for the soul. Yeah. And how direction and knowledge and connection is like the food we're looking for. I'm running around buying around the world tickets, trying to find food for my soul. I'm going to go to the Maldives. Right? We have so many plans, a bucket list, a material bucket list that will never satisfy my soul. Right?
Yeah.
We're climbing Everest. We're going to the Everest base station. Come on.
I didn't even know about that.
The Everest base station? Come on. That's on everybody's bucket list, isn't it?
I didn't know that.
I have no desire to go to Everest base station.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. All these things.
Maybe that would satisfy your soul.
I don't know. I think this oftentimes these people want to do great accomplishments. Not all the time. I think it's sort of cool that people are doing stuff.
There are a lot worse things you could do.
There's a lot worse things you could do.
But that still will not satisfy the soul.
Sure. I mean, yeah. Okay. I'm not going to go there.
Okay.
Should I keep? I'll go.
Yes, please.
I'll keep reading that verse, that purport. The living entities serving material energy are struggling hard for the existence of happiness, for existence and happiness, which is presented to them as an illusion. But those in the spiritual energy are placed under the direct service of the Lord in eternal life. That's so Christian.
Daivam prakritamashitaha, right? From the Bhagavad
complete knowledge and perpetual bliss. The Lord's desire, as he has directly said in the Bhagavad Gita, that all conditioned souls rotting in the kingdom of the material energy come back to him by giving up all engagements in the material world. Ever feel like you're rotting in material energy? I'm rotting
sometimes feeling that way. Okay.
Right. Come on, material. Yeah. But those in the spiritual energy are placed under the direct service of the Lord. Okay. This is the most confidential part of knowledge, but this can be understood only by pure devotees, and only such devotees enter this kingdom of God to see him personally and serve him personally. The concrete example is Narada himself, who attained this stage of eternal knowledge and eternal bliss. And the ways and means are open to all, provided one agrees to follow in the footsteps of Narada. There we go. You find these people who are living the life, and you follow in their footsteps. It's already been done ahead of us. We don't even have to reinvent this wheel. It's already been done.
So just a quick little recap of that commentary.
Please.
Is that the verse said that Narada understood the Lord's energies. And Srila Prabhupada says here that there are three energies. There's the spiritual energy, which time doesn't affect, which is eternal, and then there's the material energy, which is temporary and always shifting. And we are made, and then there's the third energy, which is the jivas, the souls, the atmas. Right. We're made of spiritual energy, but we have a tendency to be attracted to the material energy and try to consume it for enjoyment. But it's saying that we rot in the material world trying to do that. We never find satisfaction in that illusion. But when we reconnect or take shelter of that spiritual energy, then we're restored. Our Satchit Ananda nature, which you were talking about earlier in the show, that true identity of the self, we begin to experience that again. So
we're all experiencing this now. There's no There's no sexy, fun, exciting pleasure we're getting from waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and sitting in front of a computer screen. There's no, as a matter of fact, to most people, it makes no material sense whatsoever. What are you doing? Why? You're an online class? What? It makes no actual
5
sense.
a.m.
But right, 5 a.m. Sleep in. It's Saturday. You're going to do that on Saturday? It's our Saturday. It's a sublime type of pleasure, which is different than a gross pleasure. And we're hooked. What can we do? we're hooked on it. It's good. It's a healthy addiction that we're looking for.
Is it the Gita says Mahatmanas tumam parta daivam prakritamashita, that the Mahatmas, the great souls, they take shelter of that spiritual energy. What is that spiritual energy? We find it in the Bhagavatam. Reading it together, we find it with the spiritual people. You know, we find it in the holy name. Find it in all these different sources.
Yeah. What the
I
hell?
think we're about done, Raghu.
Stuba. We are. You know,
Oh, you
Mara's
turned it
not
up.
here.
That's what you do.
Mara's not here, and therefore I'm struggling with my 6 senses in my mind. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Here we go.
Everybody joining us on our podcast. Thanks. We do this every morning. You can listen to this while you're trucking around America, like our vegan trucker, Sean Murphy. You can listen to this, secretly at your computer while you're faking working. You can listen to it in bed. We have people doing it in bed. Zoe Archer's there. Like, look, where is she doing? She's in the kitchen. Yeah. So if you want to join our Zoom group, you can email us Yoga of the Sages 108 at Wisdom of the Sages 108 at gmail.com. And you can join our Zoom group. Get ready for our Patreon stuff that Kaustubha is going to announce.
We'll post that. I'll post it now on that Telegram.
Great. Katie Bell, send those notes. Everybody else, let's start clapping. It's time to clap. It's good to clap and dance every morning. Clap and dance. My mom taught me that. Just get in the kitchen, clap and dance. If you're driving, could be dangerous, but do it anyway. No, I can't say I could get sued for that. Let's see who joined late. We did good. We had over 80 people today. DTG, Nicole McCarthy, Cassie Rose, Harry Revel, Das joined us. And we want to see some faces. We're sick of seeing your beautiful photo. We want to see a real life face. Mara comes back for one day, then I go to California for a couple days. See, if you don't have your actual live video going, I can't tell if you're clapping or not. I want to see Zeb clapping, Papa Tony clapping, Suryaji clapping. Mara will never show her live face. Why is that, Mara? Don Cayley, good morning. Rachel, good morning. Robin, good morning. Carla Sadoff, come on, get up and dance. You're sitting, Carla. I want to see you up and moving your body. Okay, Kaustubha, let's talk later. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Great day. Forgive me if I didn't call out your name, Zoomers. Appreciate you guys.
Love to the Zoomers, love to the others.
Jim Rios, good morning. I wish I could sing like this. Buckman G, good morning. Clifford Dean, good morning. This is such a good song. This song should be played everywhere, like when you're in Costco and you have like they're playing like Queen. This should be the song, not Queen, not We Are the Champions. This song. This is what they should be playing at high school football games. Jai Shri Krishna Bolo Jai Radhe. Krishna Bolo Jai Radhe.